Welcome back to episode 2 of WF Talk. It's been a while since I did the first one and tested the waters there. The subject was WWE, as you know. I'm a bit of a fan. So this time I thought, instead of just having my Brummy accent, we'd have the lovely vocals of Matt to come and do some predictions for 2020 with me.
Yes, Will Forrest, let's do this.
Nice one, buddy. So we've got a few categories that we're going to work through in regards to 2020. We won't spoil you by telling you what they all are. We want you to carry on listening because you never know, this may become a regular thing.
Who knows, maybe. Or maybe not.
Well, you know, you only live once. But we'll run through some of these categories. We'll talk them through as well. We'll both give our answers and opinions.
Let's do this.
Yeah, so looking at 2020, we know that Brock Lesnar has got that title on him again, so he's not going to be losing that anytime soon, probably be around about WrestleMania, I would have thought, though he may surpass that. Any thoughts on who his WrestleMania opponent is going to be?
I've seen into the future, Will. You could say it's 2020 vision. What a joke. I can already tell you, it's going to be the big dog. Everyone knows this. Everyone should know this, or at least have some sort of inclination at least. Roman Reigns' sort of story arc at the moment, since coming out of remission, is that right? Out of remission?
Out of remission, yeah.
Out of remission has just been...
No, he's in remission. He's in remission.
In remission?
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, thankfully.
Yeah.
Touch wood anyway. So now he's in remission. His story arc has been float about in the sort of mid-card, not getting any sort of major push, so we're not trying to put him down people's throats just yet.
Yeah.
So he's had a bit of a programme with this Scottish fella, Drew McIntyre, Vince's favourite child, and that went nowhere, and the wheels just sort of spun for both of them, where it's a case of, let's get this programme over and done with, we'll have a couple of pay-per-view matches, and then wrap it up. And now he's just sort of doing exactly the same with Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
So, eventually, you need to knock that on the head and get Roman Reigns back into the title scene, and it has to be the person that everyone now hates, which unfortunately is Brock Lesnar, for all the sort of attraction and draw that Brock Lesnar is, or at least used to be, because I think some of that's sort of worn off now. He's not the big draw that he used to be. It's going to have to be the new face, which unfortunately, yet again, it's going to be Roman Reigns.
Yeah, see, like the way that I see Reigns at the moment is that he's obviously in remission. Everything that the fans now appreciate him as a wrestler and a performer, because he's always been a very good wrestler. He's always been a very good seller. The problem was, as you said, he was rammed down everybody's throats. He didn't have as many different coloured t-shirts as John Cena, but he was still rammed down their throats. I think he goes down a different path. I think that, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, if the Fiend is going to have the title taken off him at WrestleMania, it's going to be Roman Reigns that does it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not that I'd do that, if I'm completely honest with you. I think he needs to lose it a different way. I think Reigns wins the Rumble. That's what the rumours are. He goes on to take on the SmackDown champion, most likely the Fiend. They're not going to have Roman Reigns fall at that hurdle then. They want him to have the big moment. You know, he's overcome cancer, which is obviously very good news, and then he's overcome all the other odds and become champion again. Brock Lesnar, for me, there's two people.
Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is suddenly going to get good at wrestling.
And Tyson Fury.
Hooray.
No, as a big autumn mark, I thought that they were positioning him to be the face of Raw with his recent turn back to being the face. Honestly think Heyman likes him as well from interviews that I've seen because of what happened in 2015 at SummerSlam. I honestly feel that Orton was going to be the one to take the title off him, and then they take him forward because he's openly said on WWE shows that he wants to put younger people over as well. So it doesn't hurt Lesnar because, you know, a proper wrestler has taken it off him, whereas then Orton can go and lose it to McIntyre, Ricochet, whoever, and build them up.
Yeah, and put him over basically and do what he should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because Orton's already had his payoff from taking the cut to the face at SummerSlam from Brock Lesnar, wasn't he? And that was that garbage against Bray Wyatt when Orton was part of the whole family. Is he, isn't he? He's burning down poor old Wyatt's shed. Tracks.
Yeah. I think if you position Orton in the right way as a tweener who could be tagging with Ricochet and then RKOing him and, you know, punting Baron Corbin in the head or whoever he's allowed to on his show, then you can make him a legitimate opponent for Lesnar, take the title off him and let him lose it to an up-and-comer, as I say. The other person, and he's recently come out and said that he wants a bigger role at WrestleMania this year. You can't see him because he's not in the room.
Oh no, really?
Mr. John Cena. They're going to have to he's going to have to beat Ric Flair's record at some point, I feel. I think that he will do it. He's tied at the moment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he took the title off Lesnar, put somebody else over then in the future and sailed away into the sunset.
Into the horizon
at the following.
Yeah. I don't know. This will make things awfully time sensitive, and I don't know when you're going to upload this to YouTube. But the issue I'd have with Randy Orton to start with is he's now out injured.
Yep.
So even if it's not as major as your sort of original speculation has sort of said, you're running out of time to actually do anything with him. Let's be honest, with the injury that people are suspecting it is, he's not going to be back at the Royal Rumble. And so do you have enough time to build a programme from No Way Out? Is that the one they have in between?
Is it Elimination Chamber something else, and then
WrestleMania? That I wouldn't have said is going to give you enough time. The other thing is as well, talking about Bray Wyatt and his belt, do you want to take the belt off him this soon at a WrestleMania? Would you have anyone take the belt off him, or would you keep it on there?
I mean, we move on to that, or just before we do, I think with Orton or Cena for Lesnar, all you have to do is have Lesnar beat Owens or Rusev at the next couple of pay-per-views, and then have Paul Heyman come out and say, this is the best that you've got to take us on. Who else is there? There's no one. So this means that Lesnar's not going to be fighting anybody at Mania. You could have the heels be too chicken to take him on. Drew McIntyre doesn't want to fight him yet if you're going to keep him a heel. Samoa Joe could step up to the plate, but he could have done that before then. I don't think it's a big WrestleMania caliber match. But then a couple of weeks before, you hear Cena's music or you hear Orton's music hit. They come out to make a save, or they just come out to challenge him. It's done like that. It doesn't need a big build, really. I know the best matches are the ones that have the big build and they have the great video montages, but you can probably just have this as a fight, have it as a very quick fight, 5 minutes, and it's done.
I don't know, because at the same time, WrestleMania, I know we got spoiled last year with basically all the faces winning belts. And yes, it would be lovely for that to happen every WrestleMania, everyone goes home happy. But unfortunately, like I said, after WrestleMania at the time, it puts you in a difficult position, because unless you're turning people heel immediately that suddenly have belts, what have the faces got to fight for? And you can't have a face versus face match. I think in terms of Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, I think you should be going for a younger person anyway, and I think you should go down the upset route. I know Randy Orton had a few matches against Brock Lesnar recently. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And Rey Mysterio is always going to be seen as an underdog. He can do as many steroids as he wants and get absolutely jacked up. I probably shouldn't say that because that's slanderous, but Rey Mysterio is always going to look like an underdog. I think you've got people that should be beating Brock Lesnar already. We shouldn't have to have another torchbearer, like someone else that can hand the title off and give someone else the rub. Brock Lesnar should already be giving people the rub. I'd say Kevin Owens should be in that position where he's doing it. A Samoa Joe should be doing it as well. Unfortunately, he's going to be tied up in a program with Authors of Pain and Seth Rollins for the foreseeable future. And that's whether or not he even comes out of commentary now.
I'd put it onto Owens eventually. I think Owens needs to, like, whereas Owens has been that face before, he's always been that comedy face. He needs to be a face Kevin Owens of the Kevin Owens that came up and destroyed John Cena when he first got onto the scene. He needs to be a Stone Cold Steve Austin type of face, not just because he uses the stunner, but I'm going to come out, I'm going to whip your ass, I'm going to get the crowd on their feet. I'm not going to come out and have a little laugh and joke with you. Apart from them, I mean, you've got Joe, you've got, if you were going to do more face and heel turns, Drew McIntyre as a face, just hitting Lesnar with that Claymore, knocking him out completely, you know. But I say, with Autumn, for me, Autumn wins it, takes it through to SummerSlam, taking on the likes of Andrade, a couple of those sort of people. And then McIntyre builds himself up as the top heel and takes the belt off Orton and runs with it until Owens beats him. Alternatively, you want to put it on someone who's up and fresh? Aleister Black.
Oh, yeah, but they've done so little with him. And that's the other thing as well. I know we move on to NXT and what's going on there shortly, but in an NXT arena, with the sort of marquee crowd they've got, NXT, they have a completely sort of different type of wrestler. Because they're indie wrestlers, they've got that sort of different look. They're leaner, they're sort of smaller anyway. That's the problem with Aleister Black, and we saw this in the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago when they started throwing NXT wrestlers in the Royal Rumble. All of a sudden, their appearance, because they don't fit the Vince McMahon sort of stereotype of being big 6'7" jacked up blokes, Aleister Black looks small. He doesn't look like the threat that he did in NXT. And then going up against Brock Lesnar, he looks like an underdog. Basically, unless you're a great big Samoan, you don't look like you're ever going to put up a fight against Lesnar.
I mean, you look at Joe and you think he'll probably put up the fight, he'll choke him out. McIntyre will hit him with that Claymore, he'll headbutt him, he'll do whatever. Black offers a different threat. I mean, they talked about Riddle taking the belt off Lesnar in the future and retiring him.
That's the MMA connection, though, isn't it? That's what they're going for.
But if you've got that sort of karate, kung fu, whatever background it is that Aleister Black's got, and he can start knocking out a few people with that black mask that isn't just Buddy Murphy. He starts taking on others like Lashley, McIntyre, beating them.
Getting the rub, yeah.
Then maybe he could take Lesnar on, especially if they decided the number one contender at, say, the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
He went in the pod first, he beat all the other 5 men, and that's how he got to where he was. He earns it that way. Suddenly, that one match gives him a massive rub, like it did Kofi.
They get hell of an entrance at WrestleMania as well.
Yeah.
Aleister Black's entrance, that looks sick.
We'll move on then.
Yeah.
So, we said about Lesnar's opponent, and we touched upon the Fiend. Who takes the belt from the Fiend this year? Does he lose it this year is a question, but who takes it from him?
What I feel like they're setting up for, and this is a bit of a curveball, because I don't know if he's a face or a heel. He seems to change week in, week out. The man that main evented WrestleMania many years ago, it's got to be The Miz. I'd say The Miz has to. He's getting more and more of a sort of presence outside of wrestling with this Mr. and Mrs. And his 2 kids and whatever else is going on with that lot. But he's getting more and more of a presence on like the E network or whatever it's actually on. It's the same with Total Divas.
Yeah.
When Total Divas not necessarily originally started, as soon as it started getting like a decent following or viewership, like, even though it was total garbage, you suddenly saw a lot more of Nikki and Brie Bella on the telly, didn't you? They suddenly got a whole lot more airtime, and all the rest of it, like Paige and everyone else that was showing up. Now this might just be, it was changing times, because we've seen that now happen with the rest of the women's division. But I think it'll happen with The Miz as well. He's got the wrestling acumen, he's got the heritage. However, the way we might be looking at The Miz is, hang on, he's just a new face that's just suddenly appeared, or he's not suddenly appeared, but he's always just been floating around in the mid-card. Yeah, he might only be floating about in the mid-card, and he might not be the biggest fella. He's a hell of a wrestler, though. Isn't he? Wasn't he part of the triple threat a couple of years ago against Finn Balor and, was it Seth Rollins as well, like in the opening match?
Yeah, quality match.
That was a solid match, and a lot of people said, I know it's at the top of like a 7-hour show, it was the main event for a lot of people, though. They said it was quality how good that was.
Do you know what? I like the fact that you said The Miz. Miz's quality. I love the whole storyline with Bray Wyatt attacking the family. I'd have liked to have seen it maybe a little bit differently, but only slightly, and had Monroe watching the telly.
Yeah.
And Miz can hear what seems like Monroe talking to the telly. And as he comes in,
nice.
Bray Wyatt's there actually talking, and it's there, bye Miz, you know, type of thing. And then they're panicking, like they did. But yeah, Miz, he needs to run as a face. He could be a good face. They could have done very much the action hero Miz from the Marine and that, trying to save his family from the big bad Wyatt if they wanted
America.
to. You know, for me though, and bear with me, so if they're going to take it off him at Mania, I don't think he needs to be pinned for the belt.
No. You've
got Miz, Bryan, Wyatt, triple threat match. You've got to bring back Money in the Bank now at WrestleMania for this to work. I know it's not going to happen, so this is why it's fantasy booking. Fantasy booking. Roman Reigns wins Money in the Bank. Miz and Bryan taking on the Fiend. The Miz pins they both get the Fiend down, and as Miz is going to pin him, he goes, "No, you have him," to Daniel Bryan, because he's got that respect for him. He's trying to earn Bryan's respect, trying to be a good guy. They're sort of debating as to who should pin the Fiend. Reigns' music hits, he cashes in, he takes both of them out, he gets the pin on one of them, turns heel, Roman Reigns turns heel, wins the belt that way. Massive swerve. It's not going to happen, but I think that for the Fiend to lose the title, he's got to lose it without getting pinned in a big 6-man match. It can't be elimination chamber because he has to be eliminated. The person who I think actually takes it off him, Baron Corbin, in a multi-man match. Corbin will pin somebody else and take it. Corbin's getting such a rub with the Money in the Bank wins, the King of the Ring, doing what he's done to Roman Reigns, beating other people as well. They're going to push him.
We're moving on to the next subject. We're already talking about who we think the future star is going to be, unfortunately. I like the whole idea of the Miz taking the belt, and I like the fact that you could go down the sort of Daniel Bryan, Miz sort of dynamic, because that's been going on for donkey's years, with the Miz being Daniel Bryan's sort of mentor in, what was it, Tough Enough or whatever it was?
NXT, wasn't it? Even.
Was it?
Yeah,
like the early ones, yeah. So it'd be good to go down that sort of route, and they keep on sort of teasing like the Miz will do something. Surely not every week on SmackDown he's going to have his Miz TV section. We need to finally do something with him. So
I'd love that. I'd love for Bryan then to sort of feel bad for costing the Miz as well, but the Miz to be like, "No, it's fine. I just need you to help me. I just need you to help me now, Daniel. I want to win the tag titles. I'm going to focus on them." And Bryan never comes to help him until eventually the Miz helps Bryan out a couple of times. Bryan then comes and says, "Miz, they win the tag team titles. You get through to the Royal Rumble. They're tag team champions." Maybe Bryan's very much like, "Well, you know, you wouldn't have got here without me. You wouldn't have got here without me." A bit cocky again. And then just as they're fighting, whoever it is, Miz does his clothesline thing into the corner. Bryan tacks himself in. Miz isn't too happy. Bryan pulls the bloke out the corner, and as he's going to go and do something, Miz skull-crushing finale. Bang.
The old town.
And then, is Miz a heel then? Because Bryan's been a cocky heel type character, and Miz is saying, "I'm fed up of the way that you're acting. You know, you think it's all about you when it's meant to be about us." You then lead that on to, maybe that happens before the Rumble. You lead that on to Miz or Bryan winning the Rumble, the other one winning the championship. WrestleMania 37. They need a payoff there somewhere. It should have been when it was Miz Shane. You know, it should have been Bryan Miz at that point, because they were again going back and forwards when Bryan had just returned, and you had the whole talking smack stuff. So they need that match eventually, but before then, can you make the story even more full with a tag team title run?
It's a tough one for me, because I know years ago when Bryan was actually, well, he's already sort of qualified himself as a competent wrestler with all this sort of Ring of Honor and his indie wrestling scene anyway. So a lot of people, a lot of the marks already knew that Daniel Bryan was a quality wrestler. And I feel like a hypocrite by saying about Randy Orton and John Cena, they shouldn't be taking the belt off because they're old now, aren't they? You should be giving someone else the rub and the push. And so that's why I feel a bit silly now saying, well, The Miz should be doing it. Well, hang on, The Miz has been knocking about in the Fed longer than Daniel Bryan has anyway. But the thing is, when it comes from The Miz, there's something I'm more accepting about, and I think that's because Daniel Bryan has already had his WrestleMania moment, hasn't he? At 30, yeah. He's already done that, and maybe it's the beard and the long hair, and you just think he looks haggard. I know he's a quality wrestler still, and I'm not going to judge him just on his appearance, but the last pay-per-view that I saw him at, where he still had the beard and the long hair, he looked dishevelled, and he looked like he shouldn't be a competent threat against any young wrestler.
But then he's shaved it all off, hasn't he, since? And
he didn't shave it off, stop ruining it. Okay. The Fiend ripped his hair out.
Ripped it all out, but I know what you're saying. Okay, well, what about another title that's been on somebody for what seems like 95 years now, or whatnot? The Man, Becky Lynch. Is she going to ever lose it? And when she does, who's she going to lose it to? Is she waiting for a certain return or a certain call-up? What are we thinking?
Again, the old 2020 vision takes effect, I should say. I've got one name that I'd go for, and it's the person that beat her at the Royal Rumble last year, who's also sort of been floating about in the mid-card scene, had a bit of a dodgy old championship run and a rather dodgy match against Lynch and Charlotte Flair at TLC. It's got to be Asuka. Asuka, who managed to outdo Goldberg's unbeaten streak in NXT, basically moved up to the main roster and didn't really do much afterwards.
Did nothing, yeah.
The problem, I think, with a lot of foreign wrestlers is they're used for one or two reasons. One reason is it's that sneaky foreign heel tact, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now Asuka started to do the poison mist on people. That's supposedly a heel move.
The Tajiri.
When Tajiri used to do it, it was a sort of face thing.
Yeah.
When the Great Muta did it, it was a face thing. Unfortunately, the way that Asuka's being sort of booked is just instant heel. The other way I'd say is as well, a lot of the time you use foreign wrestlers because the Fed are trying to break into a foreign market. Hence the reason Jinder Mahal won the bout, didn't he? Because they were trying to break into the whole Indian market anyway, which didn't pay off particularly well. It might have got a few more fans online and on Facebook looking at the product, but didn't really have the impact it really wanted. And to be honest, it cheesed off a whole lot of sort of hardcore fans anyway, because they knew the reason why Jinder had the belt on him.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Asuka. All legs in one basket there.
I hate the Jinder thing, the fact that they experimented on him by him beating Orton. But then again, he's there to put people over. I'm a big Orton mark, I've told you that 9 times already. Lynch for me, Asuka, is that at the Rumble? Or is it after the Rumble? Does Lynch win it back at Mania?
That's the thing, isn't it? Otherwise we just end up in the whole sort of exactly where we are again, where she feuds with Charlotte Flair over and over and over and over and over again.
Until the end of time.
Yeah, until, I don't know, do you go with Lacey Evans, who's sort of becoming a face? Do you go completely left field and say someone like Dana Brooke, who's also been there forever, but never been given the rub, and she looks like a legitimate contender?
The problem is the shows for them too, isn't it, that they're on SmackDown? I mean, for me, I would love to see that Rousey comes back and takes it off her. Rousey turns face, but as that with that heel character that she had at the end, turns face because she just comes in and beats the crap out of Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch turns into a heel because she's due a heel turn. She, people compare her to Stone Cold. Stone Cold never became a face. It was just the fact that the fans started cheering his actions. You could turn Lynch heel. She never became a face anyway. And have Rousey do what Lynch did to get over. Alternatively, Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna Baszler comes up in the Rumble, wins the Rumble, goes after Becky, beats Becky, You put Becky on a bit of a hiatus. Monday night after Raw, you hear Ronda Rousey's music, and that sets up for Baszler Rousey in the future.
When they go down the full horsewomen route, though, because I'm not sure if the other two, I can't even name them because they've had so little TV time anyway. The other two in the MMA horsewomen pact, they're not big enough names yet. They're not a draw if you don't even know who they are. I know they've had a couple of matches on NXT, like the house shows and like the actual show that they put on a Wednesday night, but they're not big enough names yet, are they? So are we completely scrapping that? Because everyone still raves on about Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Miss Bailey.
It's all. I mean, if they're going to do a big cross-brand match at Survivor Series, you can get away with it. But there's too many things in it. I hate it when you get to Survivor Series like you did this year, and suddenly Tommaso Ciampa standing next to bloody Finn Balor or Adam Cole, like their best mates. Yet on a Wednesday night, they're kicking each other's ass.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about War Games, wasn't it? Yeah, the night previously, they were kicking 7 shades out of each other. Yeah. The following night, we're on the same team. We won. Hooray, let's be mates.
You know, why did Team Raw say that Owens could be on their team still, even though he popped up at NXT? Surely you'd be thinking, traitor, and especially if Seth Rollins turning heel, that should have been the catalyst there. You know, maybe Owens is on his way out to the ring and Rollins attacks him, puts him out of action, brings someone else out in his place. But okay.
That's what the Fed do though, don't they? They book themselves into a corner, don't they?
Yeah.
And so you have to, that's the problem with the current product as well, you have to suspend your belief so much. So I can see past the fact that they're not really hurting each other.
Yeah.
But now you've made your storyline so convoluted, I also have to suspend belief there as well. Look, I know it's not a realistic thing, but come on, stop treating the fans like they're idiots.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You're right. So we look at NXT. We touched upon that there. Who is going to be the next NXT call up? And can you call it a call up anymore? Is it just them switching brand? I mean, at the draft, the next draft pick, will there be William Regal, the Fox execs and the USA execs? Is that how they're going to do it? Will they be drafting people to NXT? Or is it just very much, we're NXT, we're staying as they are. If somebody joins us, whatever. If somebody leaves, whatever, we'll get by without them, you know. Mm-hmm. Is there going to be somebody leaving there? And if there is, who is he?
I think I can, again, name someone that there's a couple of names that are really likely to actually make the jump from NXT to the main roster.
So do you think it's still a jump?
Yeah, I do. I think obviously there's been a whole lot of, the spotlight's been shone on the I don't want to go to the main roster from Ciampa recently. Then he's done that, and Triple H did a shoot on him, allegedly, in the week, but they both came from the same point. Just because it's a shoot doesn't mean you're necessarily putting anyone down. Triple H was on Ciampa's side by saying he's getting on a bit. He doesn't want to be wrestling 200 matches a year. He wants to do the 50 matches at NXT. When I think outsiders would all be saying, no, the reason you don't want to jump to the main roster is you get lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. You become Aleister Black or Dash and Dawson, DIY. Yeah. You become one of these that just sort of float about. You don't do anything. You're in the ether. Someone that I think could actually make a bit of an impact if they got called up to the main roster is everyone's favourite West Midlands person. Don't know if he's a Brummie. Pete Dunne.
Chelmsley Wood.
He was on a programme on BBC 3 years ago. Mm.
Yeah. That's a good call, that is.
The reason I'd say that is I was a bit worried for him to start with when they announced NXT UK, because I thought he's probably their biggest name that he's actually got on NXT UK, coming from the UK as well, because I know they get a lot of like Australians, and you get the odd American in there in the form of like Cassius Ohno, who's also done nothing, unfortunately. And I was worried for Pete Dunne, thinking, well, if you're now the face of NXT UK, the buck stops here. You don't even get to NXT. and then you can completely forget about the idea of ever making it to the main roster. But thankfully, he's done a hell of a good job at NXT UK, holding the belt for a sort of record-breaking amount of time. Then moving over to NXT and making an impact and having solid matches. He has this sort of brawler technical style.
Mm-hmm.
And in front of the NXT marks, it looks good. They're prepared to buy into it, all this finger snapping and face biting and all of this. They love it. Whether or not that'll actually work on the main roster, who knows? Because when he had his match against Adam Cole at the last pay-per-view, I'm sure it's those two.
Yes, Survivor Series.
Yeah, that detailed wrestling where you're not flipping about and making such a big impact when you're only twisting someone's finger. Did it look as good as it should have done? No. Were the crowd already dead after however many hours of watching Survivor Series? Possibly. So would that style pay off? Who knows? But I think Pete Dunne is probably one that would go, hang on a minute, a couple of years ago I was wrestling down the bloody social club in Birmingham. Next thing I know, I could be on the big stage on the other side of the world.
I mean, the thing about Dunne is that obviously he brings that different style. You say the finger snapping, the other stuff that he does, the way he looks. He looks a little bit menacing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that he doesn't look like a conventional wrestler really. And nowadays, 6'5", 95 abs, you know, that type of thing. But he's got something about him, and he brings that to NXT. Yeah, he needs to work on his talking a little bit more, though he can talk. If he comes up to the main roster, does he just shock everybody and win a title on his first night? I think you could put the IC title on him. You could put the USA title on him.
Could you do the Kevin Owens thing? I think you probably could.
I think you could with him, but is he going to go any further? Is he going to be the man to take the title off Brock Lesnar? No, not at the moment.
No, of course not.
For me, and I completely forgot about Pete Dunne, who I feel bad knowing that he's a Brummie.
He's one of yours.
You know that when he comes up to Raw, he's going to be called the Brummie Brawler, and he's going to have a gimmick.
That's the other thing
where
as well.
He wears a Mankind mask.
I don't want to keep talking about Pete Dunne, but a lot of Americans are inherently sort of cool. They've got the American accent. When I hear Pete Dunne talking, all right, mate, I'm going to rip you apart. I can't help but laugh.
Do you know what though? You say
it
that.
It doesn't sound threatening.
I would love him to have a catchphrase and someone turn around to him and say, "So you're coming out here to stick your nose into my business?" And he just turns to him and he goes, "What's it got to do with you?" Bang! Sorry. And then just the boom, elbow to the face, kicks the crap out of him.
Happy days.
And it's just very much a case of, so what are your intentions? Are you going to be challenging for the title next week, are you, Pete? What's it got to do with you? You know.
Bang!
He's got a little catchphrase. But for me, he has to be called up after the year he's had, winning the NXT Championship, having that North American Championship run as well, the fantastic matches he's been putting on. But it's not just him, it's his group. You need to call up Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was all for the Balor-Cole match a couple of weeks ago, with having Balor win, because Cole said to the Era, "Don't help me out," leading to another match at Phoenix NXT TakeOver, where they're both at the top of the ladder. They're going for that title. The Undisputed Era come out and they drop Cole. They pull off the Undisputed Era armbands and they've got Balor Club ones on. They align with Balor.
Oh, nice.
And then you've got Cole on his own, but you move him up to the main roster maybe. He turns face instantly on NXT. He's a face anyway, you know, in the way that the crowd react to him. He's just got everything. I think he puts on great matches. They're always 5-star matches. He can talk. You believe what he's saying as well. That cocky heel side when he spoke to Daniel Bryan when NXT took out, invaded SmackDown, and you just believe him. He's got the catchphrase. He's got two really, with the boom and the baby. He's a modern day Shawn Michaels.
Oh, he already looks like him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he's got the same face, man.
You bring him up if you had him come up, I think you could put him over Lesnar and have him take the title off Lesnar. He might need the help of the era, but you bring him up within a year, he'll be the champion and he'll be running that brand, whether that's as a face or as a heel. I mean, Undisputed Era is sort of like that DX vibe about them, haven't they?
I think it would be a waste if you didn't do anything with the Undisputed Era by actually moving them up to the main roster. If you just disbanded them as soon as they moved up, it's a waste. But I think, however much Adam Cole sort of greased the wheels for Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, a lot of them, I'm going to say at least two of the three should be going, well, this is probably the best thing that's ever happened to my career. If they do decide to move the Undisputed Era up to the main roster, unfortunately for us, not everyone can be number one. Not everyone can be the top face. So what happens to poor old Roddy Strong? Because guess what? I'm sorry to break it to you, Roderick, but you're not going to be the standout superstar. And it's the same with Fish as well. It's not going to be you. Sorry.
Could you give them an Evolution type of run where all of them are champions and they're running the show for a year, 2 years, really build them up until eventually maybe Strong does win the title or Cole finally wins the big belt.
Yeah.
And they do the thumbs down type of thing to him, they turn on him. I hate the fact that whenever you've got a group, the first thing you think is, they're quite popular now, how are we going to break them up?
Yeah.
You know, the Shield, the Wyatt family, you don't need to break them up. Keep them together, keep them on top. Maybe they can have like a little bit of a breakup of, it's not you, it's me, we'll still be friends, we'll look out for each other, that sort of thing. We want to go and do our tag team thing and not always have to worry about Undisputed Era. I want to go after the main title and not always have to worry about you guys. But when they need to, they come back together.
Sorry, I'm always a bit worried though about like washed down or watered down versions of pre-existing entities though, because everyone knows it is just a watered down version, and it's a shame because they should still be getting the push and people should still be looking at them like, hooray, they're a big draw. But wait, Adam Cole's not there. Are they still as good? Do they still have the shine? Possibly not, but I'm sure they come to terms with it.
You call them up. I think you call up Adam Cole. He wins the belt at a WrestleMania in the next year or two in front of 100,000 people at the top of the night. All 100,000 people in that arena are going to be shouting, Adam Cole, baby! Come the end, he's a superstar in the making. Pete Dunne maybe has a little bit more work to do, but it'll be a bit more natural with him. He won't just be able to go after the big belt. So, what about looking at, we're talking about NXT, we might as well move on to that one, then go back to the other two. I know we planned it out, but who is going to win the men's NXT Championship, the main belt, for the first ever time this year?
Their first ever run holding the big NXT belt. My money's on Keith Lee. It's got to be Keith Lee. What a chant, what a guy. Hell of a push. That Survivor Series weekend was all over the shop, doing his big power moves, doing his athletic flips and that as well. All right behind the mic, not the best talker. Doesn't have the sort of look, but because he's a big man anyway, big boned, he looks like a legit sort of hard man, doesn't he? The good thing about him is as well, one, he's massive, so he can look like Angry Hill.
Yeah.
Two, he also looks quite cuddly and fun, so friendly face.
Yeah. I like to be positive all the time, but I don't see Keith Lee winning the championship. I think he's just going to get called up straight away. I think he's going to get called up after Mania. I think he'll have a great Rumble, and they'll just send him up to the main roster, and that's where he'll become a bigger player.
Is he going to do big things in the Rumble then, you reckon?
I think
he'll eliminate a few people.
Yeah, I reckon he'll get rid of 3 or 4. You know, I think he'll have another good showing. Vince is high on him. I don't think he needs that championship win to solidify himself as a future face of the company.
No, I don't think you would. I don't think a lot of people really need it. But you're keeping the current product sort of fresh and you're keeping the wheels moving.
So there's two people for me, and the second one has only just sprang to mind because you mentioned Keith Lee, and that's Matt Riddle. See Matt Riddle winning it, but I put more of my money on a brummie that you not so long ago mentioned, Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne to take that title off Adam Cole.
What, and hold it for a long time, like a legit long time, like he had the UK one.
You think you've got Pete Dunne Cole as a feud, you've got Pete Dunne and the evil Prince Balor as a feud, Dunne and Dijakovic, Priest, Dane. You could turn Ciampa heel again. Please turn Ciampa heel again. And one of the best heels of last year, even though he wasn't heel for very long, Johnny Gargano. Loved him as a heel.
He's had a go on the belt.
I know, I mean, imagine him versus Dunne. Yeah. Dunne can fight all of those people and they'd be great matches. They'd be top of the card on NXT takeovers. I think Pete Dunne, I like seeing with that next step up, you know.
It's a stepping stone, isn't it, really, before they put all their eggs in one basket and say, welcome to the big league. Who is your second one then?
Riddle was my other one.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think Matt Riddle, you can see him winning it. Maybe he turns heel with it, a bit cocky, you know.
He's already got that sort of arrogant streak, hasn't he? And that's not done him favours in the past with his MMA career either. Robbing people the wrong way. It's just a case of how long can he keep his mouth shut and not getting himself into trouble.
Apparently Vince loves him because of that, doesn't he?
That's just a weird sort.
He's got that Shawn Michaelsness about him. I tell you who I would like to see with it though, and unfortunately I don't see it happening, but the Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, you got to think, how long's he been in NXT now? It's been quite a while and he hasn't been given, well, it's been given the opportunity, but they just haven't pulled the trigger on it.
No.
You can see him having the belt because, again, he can quite easily play a sort of arrogant heel. I think that's probably your best bet, really. Yeah,
you know, you have the arrogant heel. Someone turns around to him and says, "Don't forget, I beat you before." The Dream has no memory of that.
I think he'd be a hell of a champion, actually. Draped in the gold and the purple.
It'd be great. It'd be great. The problem with him is when you move him up to the main roster and he does a gold dust. His gold dust mark too.
Oh, don't say that.
That's what'll happen. He'll be that. I'm a big Hollywood star. Look at this. It'll be VDTV.
Oh dear.
You know what I mean? Yeah. All right then. Well, for the first time this year, there's going to be NXT people officially in the Rumble that we know about happening. So speaking about the Rumble, who wins them both? Will NXT? No, they won't. I was thinking, why don't NXT have a Rumble to go after a championship? But that obviously won't happen now. But anyway, Rumble winners. Who's your ladies? Who's your men's? I think
that's tough. Well,
there's quite a few. It's a problem, isn't it? Because you've got some people who you think yes they could win it, but there aren't enough people who you're thinking about, and then a lot of them have already won it before. So do you want them to win it again?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with one who isn't gonna debut this side of the new year, and probably can hang on until he has to do, well, he's got a lot more VTs in him before they actually have to reveal him again. It's going to have to be Big Sheamus on his way back. Give him a bit of a push. He seems like he's in the category where he should be putting younger people over. But why not? If you're back, you're healthy, you're a big fella, you've got a unique look. You were over at one stage many years ago.
Yeah.
Could easily have Sheamus. An honourable mention, I'd probably say, from the NXT camp, I'd say give Walter a bit of a rub as well. Get the big man in there, let him do a few power moves. I can't see Walter actually winning it because he's only on WWE UK. Is he the champion there?
He is.
He is, so he's not going to do anything, but at least, one, you're getting the brand over. Two, you're getting Walter over. Yeah. He can make a bit of an impact. I think the winner though, and this is going to be a bit of a swerve as well, I can see Andrade doing it. Andrade?
Yeah.
Andrade?
Okay. Just won the US Championship as well, hasn't he, at a house show? Yeah.
Sorry, get rid of that. Look, any belt that you win that's not the big gold one, it's a stepping stone.
Andrade Lesnar.
Oh, God, I wish you hadn't said it like that. No, that doesn't make it look good. But get Zelina Vega in there. That's a hell of a wrestler as well. You have her as a manager at the moment, which she's been doing. But she's had a wrestling career before doing this.
Yeah, I the thing I worry about is the Roman Reigns rumours. I don't think he needs to win that to be put into the main event, Mania, because you sort of, as soon as he wins that Royal Rumble, you sort of go back to, okay, well, we can rest on our laurels with him for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Have him carrying on, have him being a bit of the underdog, getting on top of King Corbin, beating somebody else, and having, and why they don't do this anymore, but have a number one contendership match at something like Fastlane or Roadblock, whatever it's going to be, to see who fights the Fiend. Him and
Does it give you enough time though? Does it give you enough time to build that storyline? If you want to go down it could potentially be this sort of mid-carder. Does that then add enough sort of storyline and interest and legitimacy to them being a legit contender to either the Fiend or Brock Lesnar come WrestleMania?
If you do it with Reigns and Lesnar have got all that history, so that's fine, but you wouldn't put them two together again. He goes for the Fiend. Bray Wyatt could make, he could make an Apple a legitimate contender for his championship. He's just got a way about himself. I think you look at how he did it with The Miz with 2 weeks before their match. He did it with Bryan, and they only had a couple of weeks build up. Reigns is easier. Reigns is a lot easier because they've got history as well. Unfortunately for Monday Night Raw, if someone was to win that and take on Lesnar, I think it would be John Cena.
Yeah.
An NXT person, and pardon the pun, in a minute, I think Ciampa wins it. Gargano gets the NXT Championship, and that WrestleMania, they have their fairy tale ending.
Oh, that'd be nice, mate.
That's their final. They had their big blow off match there. Ciampa can come out and say, "I don't want Lesnar. I don't want the Fiend. I want Johnny Gargano on the grandest stage of all." They're going to put on a 5-star match.
Yeah, of course they will, but I don't know, the thing with sort of fairy tale endings is the ending's the key word there.
Yeah.
See you later, one of you then, because we've just kicked you into retirement. You're done, you've had your WrestleMania moment. Go away now. Because you just tarnish the career. Everything that follows is just a sort of, it's a downer, isn't it? Because nothing will peak at the same level it did.
You then put Gargano onto SmackDown as a heel. He can fight Daniel Bryan, he can fight The Miz, he can fight Roman Reigns, he can fight quite a few people there. I know Ciampa said that he'll retire if he has to move and whatnot. Fine, keep him on NXT. Keep them both there and have them just go in different directions. Okay. Women's?
The women's, I'm going to stick with what I said. I think you go down the Asuka route. You have her winning it. I think you run the risk with Asuka winning the Royal Rumble, which again comes back to her being Japanese, and that's the same way you had Shinsuke Nakamura win the Rumble. It was a sort of, it's not even going to be a feel-good moment for Asuka winning it because she's a sort of heel. With Shinsuke winning it, he looked like he was legitimately happy.
Yeah.
Obviously, guess what? He knew the outcome before the match happened, but he did look happy. It was just a shame the actual match against AJ Styles wasn't very good, was it?
I think for me, you've got the Baszler Rousey, very easy. The other person, Nia Jax. She's due to be back soon.
Oh, she's not going anywhere either, thanks to The Rock. So
you think? The thing is though, do you really want to see her in the main event against any of the current champions? This is exciting. The only other person, I realise it's a fourth that I'm putting out there, Bailey Banks. You just rehash the Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Festival of Friends, all of that story like before.
It's going that way anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So, okay. What about Money in the Bank then? Because that's a little bit later on down the year. It's having that foresight into the middle of the year and who they're going to push. Who wins both of those?
Do Raw and SmackDown both have one?
No. Raw have so many people and SmackDown have so many people.
Oh, just in there at the same time. Yeah.
Same with the women's. But will they add NXT people this year?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Seems to be a trend though.
You're watering it down too much, so aren't you? And then what do you do with the? You have like an NXT person actually win it. So pick anyone. Pick Damian Priest. He wins the Money in the Bank. Is he ready? Is he prepared to then jump to the main roster? Do you still have him going against the NXT one? It basically, if I was a writer at the Fed, I'd be going, hooray, that gives me a hell of a lot of options to play with. I'll go with option 8 like I always do.
Yeah.
That's creative writing for you. In terms of someone winning it, I'm just looking through the roster now. I'd pick someone, not really at random, but they're sort of stuck not doing much, and that's probably AJ Styles. And I was actually going to say that for the Royal Rumble as well. AJ Styles, is, for however many fans saying he's the best in the world, and he has been for a long time, you've got just as many fans saying, is he really? Is he really the best in the world? Because stuck at the Fed, he's not really done much. But where else is he going and what else is he doing? Years ago, when he was a young up-and-comer in TNA, he always seemed to be in this sort of comedy role. Then they matured him a bit more, so he was doing a bit more with the main event Mafia and all that sort of gubbins with the old timers. Since coming to the main event, he had a feud with Roman Reigns, John Cena, the big names basically. But just recently, having him tied back to the whole Bullet Club and the New Japan and what are they called, the OC.
Yeah.
Wheels are spinning, AJ Styles. You're not doing much. Have him win the Royal Rumble, have him win Money in the Bank, give him a title, give him something to do. If he's still as good as all these fans are saying he is, don't put him in these sort of 15-minute filler matches, which should be legit main events of Raw and SmackDown.
I like Styles in this heel role. I think he's quite funny.
Legit question though, what does he actually do? What is he doing? Who's he against?
He's with Orton at the moment, so they're feuding. I think for him, and it's not meant nastily, this Orton injury benefits him more than anybody else because Orton was always going to go over Styles so that eventually he could take on Lesnar, whether that was at the Rumble or at WrestleMania or in one of the little shows in between. I legitimately feel Orton was being built to be a top face, and one of the top heels who they thought was free that he could beat, that he wouldn't hurt, was AJ Styles. Because he can't beat McIntyre because they need to build him up. Joe's turned face. He can't take on Lashley because he's in that intriguing storyline at the moment. And he can't beat Lesnar straight away because he's just been a heel. I mean, it might have made a bit more sense for a heel Orton to beat Lesnar. But Styles now can legitimise himself as the top heel there with Lesnar out of the way. You know, maybe he takes back that United States Championship somehow, and he really carries that, and he carries the brand. And if you want to be a top face, you've got to beat AJ Styles on that show. Unfortunately, though, as you say, unfortunately for him, if Orton isn't injured, Orton's going over him. Because he's the one, Styles is the one who can afford to lose that feud. Like when they feuded at WrestleMania, Orton was the heel. He could afford to put AJ Styles over.
One name that we haven't mentioned in all of this, because he's got things to do, is Seth Rollins. There's a name we haven't mentioned. I only remembered it because you mentioned Samoa Joe. But what do you see happening with Seth Rollins next year and the Authors of Pain? Do they become like this dominant faction? Is Seth Rollins just using the Authors of Pain?
You know, it could be quite interesting, couldn't it? Like an Authors of S.H.I.E.L.D. type of thing.
That was always the thing though, wasn't it? On the video games, they always had, because of the whole Samoan look, you always had Roman Reigns as that lead central figure, all dressed the same because they already dressed the same anyway. And the Authors of Pain, either side of him, that looked like a legit faction. That looked solid.
I do like them in the suits, sort of like Seth Rollins going you get your hands dirty, boys, for me, and then like the whole
With the heavies.
they're taking their jackets off. I don't mean any trouble here. Bang, bang, bang. Win, and then you've got Rollins doing his little dance, and then the stomp. And I say the little dance, the stomp that he did to Kevin Owens when he was revealed to be with the Authors of Pain. Watch it back if you haven't already. He does like this little Irish jig before he actually hits the stomp. I don't know where he goes with that. Will he become one of the top heels again on there? Put the US Championship on him. Can he? He's got Joe. He's got Owens. After that, if he's there boasting about, nobody wants to fight me and whatnot, you bring out Aleister Black. I will pick a fight with you, type of a thing. Or Ricochet. They could have some great matches. You could help put them over. But yeah, I mean, for me, he'd be a great Money in the Bank winner again, Or potentially a champion, having someone trying to cash in on him with the Authors of Pain around, stopping them from cashing in. is intriguing. But I mean, Money in the Bank for me, women's, I would go with Ruby Riott. I think she'll come back. She'll come back.
That's a name out of left field, isn't it? Just pick someone.
She'll come back. Apart from that, it's Carmella, but I don't think they'll put it on her again. A men's Money in the Bank winner who would actually look good with the briefcase as well. Because I don't think you can have Aleister Black walking around with a briefcase. It doesn't look quite right. No, Ricochet.
Boots, pants, briefcase.
The Miz would look great with it again, maybe. But John Morrison comes back and wins it.
Oh, drats, I forgot all about him.
John Morrison comes back and wins it. Apart from that, over on SmackDown, I can't think of anybody in their mid-card who could win it. I don't think Ali does. I don't think Shorty G does. I'd love
to see Shorty G with the belt, with the briefcase even.
Oh, no. It'd be great if someone like Nakamura won it, and they actually invested in him. But he's got the IC title, he's got this new title, and they can't even be bothered now. So why'd you put that on him?
You've got someone that we haven't mentioned as well that's currently playing manager. My favourite, Sami Zayn. Can you see him having the briefcase? Because he's a bit of he's the sneaky heel at the moment anyway. Is he injured? Is that why he's playing manager? Have they just realised they don't like the way he wrestles?
I think he has been injured.
Is he? There
was talk about him and Nakamura feuding at Mania and doing the Owens-Jericho storyline. Imagine Money in the Bank matches going on, and it's a shame that what happened last year happened with Lesnar coming out of nowhere. And imagine Zayn just legs it up that ladder like a little sewer rat, nicks the thing, and runs off with it.
Yeah, solid. Why not? Because that's the thing, isn't it? Whilst he can play the sort of weasel, sneaky role, he's also a hell of a haluva nice guy in real life, isn't he? He does lots of sort of charity things.
Yeah.
He's a vegan. He's got one or two sort of political opinions that we sort of stay away from. But he can also play a hell of a face.
I tell you who I'd love to see win it, and he won't because he's going to be on his way. But the pure comedy you could have for a few months, Matt Hardy.
Oh God!
Matt Hardy wins it. He's got that briefcase. You're there in the Hardy compound, and it's yes. I shall go back in time and take on the Hulkster of all of the Hogans in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. And he's saying about how he knows that Hogan's going to beat Yokozuna, and then he's going to surprise him by cashing in on him. And he comes back and he goes, actually, it didn't work out. That type of thing. You got Matt Hardy. I'd love to see them do more with him. He's so creative and brilliant. Yeah. They should have done more. Unfortunately, they don't know how to use him, and no one's ever said to him, what do you think you should do?
And unfortunately, when you get sort of natural openness with the fans, let's look at Rusev. They're not keen on that, I've noticed.
No.
Welcome to the burial. Yeah.
Remember, looking back at that WrestleMania when the Hardy Boys returned, has got to be one of the pops.
Marco moment of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's coming down the aisle. He doesn't even say, or he might say delete, but everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
There we are. First time WWE Universal Champion. Who's going to win that for the first time ever?
In 2020?
With your 2020 vision.
Okay, right, we need to... So far we've managed to get it off Brock Lesnar's hands.
Or the Fiends.
Or the Fiend. Okay, so we're looking at a new person that's never had it before. I'm going to go with... So, basically, the breakout star of 2020, I think. If you got the belt come the end of the year, you must have achieved something fairly decent, I would have thought.
Yeah.
It's going to be King Corbin.
King Corbin.
It has to be. It has to be. We've given him so... Like we said earlier in the podcast, you've given him so many chances, and the fans legitimately hate him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a... from what I've seen, he's a competent wrestler. When he's getting legit heat, that means the creative staff and Vince McMahon are thinking, happy days, we've done our job correctly.
Yeah.
You haven't, because people don't want to see him. But when you've put that much time and effort into him, he's going to have to get the belt eventually. He doesn't just go away after this. He has his feud with Roman Reigns and then, hooray, Reigns won, no more Corbin. No, he's still going to stick around, and I can see him having a belt this time next year. And I can see him going from... He was always sort of disliked in NXT as well when he was playing that lone wolf character. The problem is, because he now looks like a Spanish barman, people sort of dislike him even more. But you have him come back in his sort of ripped jeans and his leather biker jacket and all of that. Don't let him grow his hair back, because it was ratty at best.
I don't think he'd be able to.
It affects all of us one day. But yeah, I can see Corbin basically having a belt this time next year, and either being a tweener or still, man, people hate him.
I think he'll turn face at some point from the fact that he is getting some cheers. And I think that if he had that lone wolf role and he just came down with that music and started beating people up, he could get over that way. First time champion for me, though I'm going to have them a little bit different to my breakout star. First time champion and potential Money in the Bank winner, Rowan.
Oh, really? Rowan and his rat?
Yeah, Rowan and his rat. I think if they want to do an experiment Jinder Mahal style, Rowan wins it with that Iron Claw, choke slam, whatever it is. He comes out, he decimates someone, he gets the Money in the Bank contract, comes out and decimates somebody, puts them through both announce tables, slams them in the ring. He decimates, let's say, Rusev wins the championship. He decimates him, and then that's your first time winner. My breakout star, he has been a star before, years ago. CM Punk.
Oh no, really?
Bring back CM Punk. CM Punk is coming back, and he's going to take it all over. He's going to beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and he's going to be the breakout star of the year.
Oh man, I should have been saying AJ Lee to win belts off Becky Lynch and all sorts, shouldn't I? I thought that was part of the contract. If he comes back, his wife comes back as well. All the things he's been doing on Talking Smack or
backstage.
Yeah, same difference. There's obviously something in the works. You wouldn't just show up to be a panellist for a company that you really despise. There must be a hell of a lot of money on that table.
Yeah.
And a lot of pride being swallowed on both sides of the table as well.
So does Rollins win the Rumble as a heel and says, I don't want to take on any champion. I want that chicken, CM Punk. I want CM Punk. And he keeps trying to call him out until you get the look in my eyes moment. And he wipes him out, you know.
It's an idea.
I like it. We'll finish off then with, unfortunately, not the nicest of topics. Who gets released?
There's about 400 people on the roster, so you might as well stick a map up on the wall and throw a dart, and you're going to find someone that's likely to be gone. If they haven't already gone, EC3, has he been released yet?
No, he's injured. concussions.
If you're injured, sit at home and just keep taking the paycheck as long as you can. I wouldn't be in any rush if I was EC3 to get myself back on telly because you're not doing anything anyway. A man that's had a little bit of the old wacky tobacco, according to the reports, is everyone's glorious friend, Robert Roode. Is he Robert Roode or Bobby Roode in the film?
Yeah, Robert now, isn't he?
Again, Shorty G's moved on, son. Yeah, it's just you, Robert Roode, on your own. Just get out there. You might as well. Unfortunately for Roode as well, I don't even think he's going to be that much of a draw in AEW. Look at what's the fella that did MMA for a bit, Jack Swagger, whatever he's called in AEW now. When you came out, it was great. You got a bit of a pop, but it was a bit of a fizzle, wasn't it? Let's be honest. You haven't really done anything. Roode, just sorry, but you're in the same boat. And I think unless you're giving something to Rowan as well, I think his best mate Arthur is thinking, I'm onto a good thing here. Rowan, come and join me wherever I go.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, Matt Hardy, unfortunately, I think he's going to be one.
I think that's just end of the line for Matt Hardy, though. I think he's just a bit too old. That's just not on the end.
I think he'll go to AEW and have a big broken renaissance over there. I don't understand why they don't get rid of Jeff instead, but they won't, will they? Is a draw.
Yeah.
For me, then I think it's probably going to be goodbye Zack Ryder at some point. The only thing that's helping him is that his missus is in it. But you say Robert Roode and EC3, and you know what? You think, why hasn't some idiot down there in creative said, do you know what? Robert Roode in NXT was a brilliant heel. Mm-hmm. He was very chauvinistic. He had his glorious robe. He did all that sort of stuff. He's with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's similar. You could get Dolph Ziggler over again if he was a bit more like Robert Roode, and maybe they were there doing their vignettes. Why don't people do vignettes anymore? But, you know, sat in a gentleman's club smoking cigars or whatnot, and over walks EC3 in a suit as well, smoking cigars, and you put those three together as a little heel trio faction on NXT, Raw or SmackDown. You've got three people there who are good workers from their previous, know how to talk on the microphone, know how to wrestle, don't have to be anything more than mid-card or upper mid-card, but you're using them, and it's different people as well. Two of them can be tag team champions. Ziggler could maybe move more into a manager role for a little while with them, and you have Roode and EC3 going for the tag championships.
I think it comes down to, this must be difficult as a wrestler, is if you've read any sort of wrestling autobiographies, it's one thing like having a legit storyline or something to do. It's another getting a bit of TV time. Even if you're getting TV time, surely you'd want to be doing something with it. It sounds great for these three to actually be given these sort of vignettes and doing something, but eventually, at the end of the day, you might as well be R-Truth running around the streets with a belt that you're getting pinned by everyone with. You're not achieving anything. It's the whole pride that comes with any job. Surely you want job satisfaction and actually get something rather than just having a job.
Yeah.
So besides Dolph Ziggler, who I don't think they'd ever really get rid of, I think they just keep throwing money at Ziggler just to stick around. The other two, it wouldn't be the end of the world to see him go.
I suppose it's one of them, isn't it? You say about job satisfaction and that. If you want to be a wrestler and you want to be a wrestler in the top leagues and you want to be on WWE, maybe you have to take what they throw at you. A couple of people have been given some gimmicks where they think, oh, this isn't great, it's not going to get me over, but they've run with it and they have got over. So
who do you blame then? You blame creative or the actual superstar? It's a bit of both, isn't it?
It is.
Here's the ball, run with it. If you don't, we gave you something.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't there going to be a wrestler, or was there a wrestler called Puke? And Vince McMahon wanted this person to be sick all the time.
Yeah, it was Droz.
Oh, yeah. And you look at Natalia, who had that farting gimmick for a while,
Comedy gold.
but she worked through it
Yeah.
and has done all right
And
since
she's still
then.
getting paid.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, you've got to appease Vince so that you can move on and become what you want to become.
Yeah. Do the time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice one. Well, there's our predictions for 2020. We'll have to review at the end of the year and see
How wrong
what
we
actually
were.
came
Yeah.
through, if any of them came right. But nice one. Thanks for that. Cheers, Matt. And we'll do this again sometime.
See you soon. Peace.
Nice.